Alrighty, let's get started with your warm-up for the day. To start our upper body warm-up, we are going to do some windmills. So with just one arm, we are going to rotate that arm up and over and back just a few times, about 10 times, going each direction. So we're going to do some going backwards, and then we're going to go forwards. And what we're doing here is moving the shoulder through the full range of motion. So only do this if it's comfortable for you. We don't want to be experiencing any pain. Moving on to the other arm, we're going to do about 10, maybe 7, going backwards. There we go. Getting some movement here, and then going forwards. Moving the shoulder through its full range of motion, getting everything warmed up. And then from here, what we're going to do is outstretch one arm across the body. Take one hand, grab onto your elbow, and pull it into the body. You should feel a stretch throughout the back of your shoulder. And then we're going to switch sides. We're going to do this 3 times total. Bringing your other arm into your body. Switching sides again. Just trying to warm up our shoulders a little bit more. That is 2 on each side. We've got 1 more here. All right, there we go. And now what we're going to do is take one arm up and over. So we are pretending like we are grabbing the back of our shirt. And then we're just going to take our arm and try to press a little bit backwards on the elbow. You should feel a nice stretch all throughout the back of the arm or the tricep. And we're going to do just 2 of these on each side. So alternating arms, holding for a few seconds, and then switching. There we go. That is 2 on each side. All right, we're going to go from the tabletop position now into a child's pose. So stepping or just shifting the knees a little bit wider. We're going to bring the toes together, sit down on the heels, and then we're going to outstretch the arms out in front of our body, trying to stretch them as far as they can go to feel a stretch throughout the whole back of the body. Feeling this for just a few seconds, I will do a 10 count here, counting down from 10 in this stretched position. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, coming up now ever so slightly, we are going to do some, I like to call them thread the needle. So we're going to take one hand underneath the other hand. We're going to stretch that out and try to bring the shoulder to the ground. This is a great rotational stretch, and it will help to stretch the back a little bit more. Coming back up, rotating again. We're going to do a total of 3 here. Coming back up, rotating one last time. There we go. All right, switching to the other side, we're going to take that other arm underneath that outstretched arm, try to bring the shoulder to the ground. Come back up, we're going to do 3 total. This is 2. Coming back up, we've got 1 more. There we go. All right. And so from the tabletop position, what we're going to do is just create a little more space. So we're going to step our knees back and step our hands forward into a modified push-up position. From here, what you can do is you can bring your toes to the ground and bring your knees up off the ground for a standard push-up, or you can keep your knees on the ground for a modified push-up. So we are going to do 10 push-ups. If a modified push-up is too difficult, you can start on the ground, like in this position with your hands right underneath your shoulders, making sure to keep your core tight the entire time, and then just pressing yourself as high as you possibly can. So that may only be a little bit, but we just want to try to press from the ground if we can. So we're going to do 10 push-ups, trying to keep the core nice and tight the entire time and trying to touch our chest to the ground with every rep. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There we go. And if 10 is too difficult at this time, you can always try to just do as many as you can right now and then try to add on 1 push-up every session. All right, and then moving on to the ground, we're gonna come into a kneeling position. I'm just gonna have you do some wrist stretches here. So I'm gonna sit down on my heels. The first thing we can do is just stretch the fingertips back to stretch the wrists for a few seconds on one side and then for a few seconds on the other. You should feel not only a stretch in the wrist, but also a stretch throughout the forearms. And then doing some wrist circles. This should feel especially good if you've been working, typing, writing a whole lot recently. And then we're going to press our hands onto the ground, pressing our fingertips onto the ground to stretch out the forearms a little bit more. You can rock back and forth to get a really deep stretch here in whatever way that is going to be most comfortable for you. There we go. And lastly, we're going to do just a little bit of core activation. So we are going to come onto our backs, lying on our backs on the ground. And so here what I want you to do is contract your core and kind of curl up a little bit so your shoulders are off the ground, and we don't want there to be any space underneath your low back. So you are rounding your back and you want to really press your hips and press your low back into the ground. From here, what you can do is bring your knees up, and then you're also going to bring your hands up, making sure that there is no space underneath your low back. And then from here, what I want to challenge you to do is outstretch one leg and then bring it back, outstretch another leg and bring it back, outstretch another leg and bring it back, outstretch another leg and bring it back. And so with this core activation exercise, I want to encourage you to implement breathing techniques. You can breathe out before you start a repetition of this exercise. Do the repetition and then breathe in, but you want to make sure you are always breathing and supplying your body with oxygen. So don't hold your breath for too long while you're doing this. So this is going to, if we're incorporating the breathing, it's going to look like this. We're going to make sure we are engaging our core, keeping it nice and tight. We've got our knees up and there's no space underneath the low back. I'm going to breathe out. When I breathe out, I'm engaging my core more. Then I'm going to outstretch one leg and then bring it in. Outstretch the other leg and bring it in. And then I'm going to resume normal breathing, maybe taking a few deep breaths if I need to recover a little bit. And to make that exercise more challenging, you can outstretch your legs a little bit longer. You can hold, or you can do both legs at a time, or you can also incorporate moving your arms in a backward position as well. But I do want you to do 10 repetitions of that breathing exercise in the way that is going to be most helpful for you. All right, and that concludes our warm-up. I hope you have a great workout.